Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This channel exists to reveal the truth about show business, about filmmaking, about movies, with only one specific avenue. Hey buddy, come here. Sorry. Namely, and this has been known for a while, that Hollywood is interested in psychic occultism. On some level, I am. Right there. Right? On a primary level, I am. Right? And I exact my resonance as I see fit. Right? And so again, I've talked about this many times, right? That I represent, like Merlin, like white magic. As far as using your mind to master yourself, right? To master your world. And so Quentin Tarantino's side, because this is about the movie critic, is that he uses his mind to control everything. Everything else. Not like himself, not like, he has no control. And this is the realization that I've come to. That he spent all this time trying to break my mind with psychic clairvoyance, with occultism, right? With black magic. And all he's done is he's broken his mind. That's all that's happened. Like, the mask is gone completely. It took me so fucking long to see it. It's almost funny, I'm sure those girls will laugh if and when we're all together. But they won't, because it's terrible, because we're all traumatized. But, right, it is, like, it's like, the more I think it, no, this is like, right? I really have had to use my clairvoyance a lot, not like a little bit. Because everyone refuses to speak to me. Right? Makes no sense professionally. That's my point. That's my point. Like, oh, you're famous? Like, you're a fucking hack who lives in Pacific Palisades. Right? You represent someone. You have a job. I have a question about that person. Right? Nothing. For a fucking year and a half. And so no. Stay over here. The only logical conclusion to draw from that, right, is that the evil that Quentin subjects me to, he subjects everyone to. Everyone, right? And so, again, at Jackie Brown, he set up this initiation, right, which I aborted because it seemed evil, right? And so, when I wrote, and this is about the movie critic, I wrote him about playing the movie critic, and now it's obvious that that movie is a sadistic monument to Quentin's obsession and addiction to control, his sexual perversions, and indeed his drug addiction, I suspect. That his mind is totally gone. That it's just a bunch of rape scenes. It's not the film that I thought it was. I thought that he was like gearing up to like actually make a really hard film, like a really abrasive, right? And it is on one level. But it's just a bunch of rape scenes and jokes. That's like all it is. Anyway, I contend that after I aborted his black magic spell over my psyche and soul, that when I wrote his agent that next week, Mike Simpson, and sent a video as well, and was like, why does it have to be this way? Why does it have to be fucking weird? And then after like another week, I kind of felt bad. And again, I was thinking about the girls. I was feeling them needing me. And so I wrote him again. I said, I'm going to build you a planter, and you can have my scene for free. I sent him a scene. I said, I'll do the movie for free. Like, I understand that's like your thing. I don't do that. I don't submit my mind. No. I'll give you my voice. I'll give you my body, my ambulation. Right? But this thing, no, that's mine. That's God's. And so I contend that Quentin has been playing these games with people constantly, and it makes perfect sense. The thought of him like sitting at an award show, right, and getting some sort of sick thrill out of like blasting the person sitting in front of him, so they'll turn around and ask him what he wants them to hear. Like that's like what he's into, And so when I stood tall and said your games are bullshit and they ain't got nothing to do with the movies, that those girls said, he's the only one. He's the only one. And when Quentin went, no, right, which I don't fault him for. It's his movie, right? But those girls know who he is. right? They know what kind of man he is. And so I contend, right, that the only logical explanation for why he has been exacting such a sadistic torture upon me all this time is because that in June of 2024, after Tribeca went south and I still demanded to play the role, when Quentin refused, those girls finally stood up for themselves for the first time in the 10 years they've been affiliated with him. They said, no, you know, Quentin, right? If you don't see what he brings to the film, then we don't see why we should do it. And so I contend that from that day on, he's been holding them hostage against their will. Daniela as well. Right? And so again, we'll say it again. I'll probably say this every time, just because like it's so obvious if you know what the game is, right? But if you're indoctrinated into crude, reductionist, materialistic science, and psychiatry is not that, but on another level it is, But what I'm saying is that when people say like, yes, Brian, like I understand how passionate you are right now. I understand that you're totally fucking serious right now. But if the things that you're saying are true, why wouldn't those girls say anything? And of course, as soon as anyone asks that, they prove they have no understanding of what we're talking about here, right? That if those women, right, if Quentin has his arms, right, and he has ambulation, and he has money and resources, right, and he's loose in the world, and those girls take a single step towards their independence, torture, just like I get every day, probably way worse. Right, and so that's my contention. That's my contention that he is like holding them against their will, because they've all been ready to come to me because they've known the entire time, even before I understood, this guy can protect us. If we go to this man, he'll know exactly what to do. Right? Goddamn right. Right, and so now it's just sick. Let's just think about the audacity of it. Right? Let's just say, Brian, you're a fucking smart guy. I think there might be something here, actually. Why wouldn't their representation do anything? For the exact same fucking reason, isn't it? That yes, he is that sadistic, he is that perverse, he is that evil, that he exacts this hideous abuse of wisdoms, hideous high evil over anyone that does not give him what he wants. And so, what they don't realize, this is what I put in the last email I sent to the Chicago School of Law, is that Quentin can never exact this campaign on more than one person without help. Right? And so I contend he's turned into a slobbering lunatic, and no one wants to, right? He can't let those women out of his sight. Right? So my point is that they don't have an excuse anymore. That they all thought about it in relation to themselves. Right? And so as far as I'm concerned, I'm in the clear. I'm notifying the authorities 5 times a day. Every fucking law school in the country. As soon as I saw what time it is. Right? But for them to all behave in this way, right? I'm dead fucking serious. They all need to go to prison. This is the most evil conspiracy in show business this century, 100%. 100%. Not because they deserve to be with me, but because they deserve to be with whomever they want. Right? That they saw in me a pathway to a healthier psychological and sexual lifestyle. Right? And I never saw them at all. I thought that he was like, right, and I talked about this, right? I thought the movie critic was like a weird guy who goes into pornographic movie theaters and fucking pulls out a pen and a pad, while people are jerking off on either side of him. That's my point, right? But instead, it's just like a guy who makes jokes and, right, does bondage rape scenes on pornographic film sets in the 70s, and there's driving and talking between them. You get it? That I saw that, all writers see everything through their lens, And so again, I've probably mentioned this a couple of times, that I've been celibate since 2019, and so that's my argument in Appendix 3 of the novel for how I could essentially prove legally through 5 or 6 circumstantial threads of evidence that Quentin did in fact give me HIV with black magic occultism. But beyond that, that's why I wrote him, because I'm above my sexual identity, Right? I don't have sex like with women. That's not like what I do. Not that I can't, right? They fuck me with their eyes constantly. But I'm just like, I'm on my spiritual journey, you know? Right? And so when I read about this screenplay, when I read about this movie, the movie critic, I said, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, I could do that role. That's not an easy role. And that's why I wrote him, never knowing that there's no intellectual grace in that screenplay. It's just 600 pages of rape scenes, right? Never knowing that he's been terrorizing these women all this time. And so he had a psychotic, my contention is that he had a psychotic break, right? When they demanded to be released into my protection. Right? And he's been holding them against their will with these disgusting tactics ever since. And so what I'll say again, right? It's like, oh, they're doing things like, again, like it's the same answer for every single one of these uninspired bullshit, you know, attempts to poke holes in my theory, right? That these witches cannot do anything. They can't do anything. They are under his sadistic thumb forever. And so, right? That's why, like, that, honestly, like, that's, like, this is why I wrote. This is why I wrote. I see it now. I totally see it now. I could have sacrificed something in myself and played that role and stole them all out from under him on his film set, because that's what was going to happen. But at the same time, right, is that really an answer? It helps them. I've given him every chance. Of course, we're in psychic communion constantly. Constantly. He spent 1,000 hours watching me. Right? And so I emailed the office that Mikey Madison's father works at, ASC treatment. Right? Daniela Pick's mother. Right? I'm going off. I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping until the authorities, till someone has those women in a different room away from Quentin. And indeed, I contend that it is so bad, right, that if and when the LAPD show up, they're going to say, please take him away. He is a criminal. He's been holding us, right? And so my point that I'm making about the industry is that it's time for all of us to pull our heads out of our asses and see it for what it is. He is a sick, unwell man, right? His prowess, right? Right? He's a felon. That's what he is. He doesn't respect his prowess at all. Right? He's a sadistic, evil man. And every day that we allow him to continue to exist outside of a straitjacket like Hannibal Lecter getting fed through a straw, we invite him to continue torturing anyone, anywhere, anytime. Right? So, is he going to let him go? You know, I don't know. I think there's a part of him that is sadistic enough that he wants the police to fucking see them all tied up. There's nothing I can do. I feel him beating them. I feel him raping them. And it's sick. It's so sick, you know? It's so sick. We have to come together, you know? We have to, you know? Right? They don't have to be with me. I'm not saying that I deserve 4 women. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that I deserve 4 women. Fuck you. Right? You could have been good to him one time. So, I protect him. I'd be the big dick psychic they always needed. It never had to be this. Right? He could be a sadist. He could like keep controlling anyone in his life. You know? And the reality that he hates to realize, right, as far as my scene, as far as like money is concerned, that if he would have just let the girls come to me, I would have never sued. I would have said, oh gosh, you're fucking angels, radiant goddesses, please, no money. You guys have money, I'll be good to you. And that would have been it. So, there's no hope for any of us psychologically as long as he is loose in the world. That's my point. I stand by that. Right? He has existed as a disgusting goblin his entire life. Right? And so when he set up, right, this is my point. This is what the witches all loved, right? That rather than speak reasonably to me, right, he exercised this like sort of hideous like control over me for 2 months. For 2 months. With this notion of me questioning him about cinema speculation. Right? Set up $1 million screening of Jackie Brown, conversation with Robert De Niro. Right? And when, this is my point, like when he didn't get what he wanted, when he turned his back on me and I didn't bark like a dog, right? That's when his psychological collapse began, and it ended, right? When I demanded that he still let me play the role and I could save the studio $40 million. Everyone around him said, why don't you just chill out? Like, why don't you just calm down, Quentin, right? Because this movie is not a subtle, sophisticated statement about sexual identity and the human condition, right? Right? It's a sadistic monument to his control of those women. And so, right? We're all rape victims now. We're all victims, you know? Me, my innocence, it's gone. They lost theirs a long time ago, for sure. For sure. I've been a radiant angel of light, like forever, uncompromising. And I know that's what they love. No cunning. Right? No crime. All light, all beauty. And Quentin's obviously the opposite. Right? And so, as a result of him not being able to control me, he has in fact now become a felon. He is a multiple felon. Right? Him and several other people. And so if it goes all the way to him getting locked up, you know, that's what I told Mike yesterday. I said, it's bullshit that I got to fucking look over my shoulder constantly, right? If it goes all the way, right, to him getting locked up, I'm going to do everything I can to get all of you locked up. This is criminal behavior, right? Like, you did it. Like, oh, got me good. Like, let me live for fucking 2 years, not realizing that you were holding these women and that they were desperate for me and me alone. He resents me for that, right? Because of my celibacy. That's what they love, right? But now, right now that the you know, and again, this is like legitimate clairvoyance. What I'm talking about here. This is like the real deal, right? All which, you know, and another way of saying that is it's logic. Right? The highest levels of clairvoyant resonance is raw logic. I stand by that. I said it however many videos ago. That I'm seeking to understand what is occurring. Right? That's always been my goal. It's always been my, you know, it's like I don't know what's going on. I just want to know the truth. Right? And so now that we're all this time in, we're like 4 months after the continuing adventures of Cliff Booth. Right, the women, that's literally the only thing that makes any kind of sort of rational, logical sense. That everything that he's done has been to maintain control of these women. And all that he's done is the opposite. It's the opposite. We all think about each other constantly. Right, we need each other. We want each other. But they can go anywhere. They can. I don't think any of us belong anywhere but in each other's arms. I don't think any of us could ever have healthy psychological or sexual relationships with anyone. Yeah, feeling pretty good about saying that. And I'm good. Like, I don't need that. But they're so beautiful. They shouldn't. I take you under my charge. So, what does his agent have to say about it? You know, what do all these people have to say about it? Like, under oath. Like, yes, that's like what I'm saying. On the witness stand. What do you, like, oh, you're famous, so, like, you don't have to, like, answer my questions? Let's get the fucking LAPD there. Let's get the fucking FBI there. With me. Boom, dead-eyed, on them. What do you have to say about it? They all know, that's the point. That's my point, that they've all known this entire time, and because Quentin is so sadistic and wicked, right, that they say, okay, Quentin, just not us. And so what I'm saying is, that's a fucking coward's way out and no longer legitimate to me legally, right? So, notify the LAPD. Hold those dear to you close. See what's good in your life, right? This is like all of this is from him not seeing what's good, right? What is good in Quentin Tarantino's life, right? It's pretty obvious to me that I'm the only good thing that ever came into his life that wasn't those fine fucking witches, right? So he could have just like relaxed, right? And so obviously, again, this is all about control, right? This is about his wife, right? And I'm unabashed, 100%. That's the fucking most finest woman in the world, arguably, right? If she ain't Sydney Sweeney or Mikey Madison, right? So he didn't want me to come if I didn't submit my mind because I swallowed all their hearts and turned them all on sexually as soon as they saw me. which was never my goal. I thought it was a weird movie about a writer. I thought, oh, he has his, like, whatever. Like, I'm just going to come, be a professional. Right? But, you know, the damage is done. I'm afraid he's going to murder him at any minute. Send someone to murder me. Again, this is like, he is like a slobbering fucking lunatic right now. That's what's been occurring for a long time. Who is working on the continuing adventures of Cliff Booth? There's a question. What they got to say? How about it, Robert Richardson? Right? I suspect he was totally deranged that whole time. And he gave off evil energy. 100%. It would surprise me if he did not. So we say that show business is an inside club. So we say that, oh, here's the door. Right? What I'm saying is, you made up those rules. Fuck you. I'm an actor, not a hack. Right? So, you want to use me? You want to use me as an actor. You look me in the eye. You speak to me like a man. Right? You can treat all those faggots in LA another way, but not me. Right? So, again, my contention, they saw that. They said, yes, he gets it. This is the only fucking guy that actually gets it. And that's the only thing that makes sense for why it hasn't been resolved yet. Why no one will speak to me about any of it. Right? Because he's been holding them hostage against their will. And admittedly, they thought that I would sue in like a month or two. I have no money. I have no resources. And I tried. I was sorting trash last year. Right? And he was so fucking evil. He was so fucking awful to me every single day. I'm smelling blood. I'm like tasting blood. Needles everywhere. Sick. That it got, like, that onslaught was so ugly. It was so fucking perpetual and evil that eventually I did. I quit my job. And I'm done. Like, we're done. No more jobs. No more money. I get it. Okay. You're funny. And now I see that that's funny. Right? That he was doing all that because the women were about to be in my arms. And he was bitter about it. But that's like, I do see that now. And if I had known, I probably would have let him keep torturing me. Right? So that was the last time I went to the hospital. I went to the hospital for Western medicine, psychiatric care, 3 times during this whole saga. The first time was pure enough. That was after he stopped accepting my mail in January, at the end of January 2024. And I raged for like 10 days. I was drinking. I was really depressed, right? Because I know what time it is, right? But this guy's a fucking asshole. And so I did. After about 5 days of that, I said, I need to go to the hospital. And so I chilled out. I took my Valium, right? And after maybe 7 or 8 days, I said, okay, I'm good. I get it. I'm gonna write about it. Right? Oh, you don't want to talk to me? I got something to say about it. Right? And so, right, the second hospitalization was in Los Angeles when he convinced me to sell my Hasselblad for $300 to buy a ticket out there. Again, because he's interested in control, sadism. And so he wanted me to go to the theater, 1822 North Vermont Avenue, and stop the girl, right, that I was supposedly in love with and kiss her. That's what he said. And I hated it. I hated it the whole time. I was like, well, I guess I'm going. I'll fucking do it. They tell me that on the way to the airport. I said, oh no, this isn't love. I said it. I remember that. So this isn't love. I don't know what's occurring here. But anyway, she walked past me. I let her go. Maybe they love that. Right? But once she left, I said, okay, I have to go. I have to go to the hospital again. And so I walked for 4 hours all the way across town. Fucking, what is that one in West Hollywood? Cedar Sinai? Maybe that's in New York. But anyway, famous hospital. Told him I was suicidal. Said I'd jump off a bridge. I don't know if it was true or not. They 5150'd me, right, in the hospital, and took me to a psychiatric institution in Alhambra. And of course, I was a huge hit. And after the third day, I said, no, I gotta go. I can't, like, again, it's like, I get it. What I realized in those 3 days is that, like, oh, there's, like, I have to keep addressing this. Like, I can't drown my mind in pills. Like, it doesn't work that way. And so that's when I wrote the love poems, right, the following day. And then the third time was while I was sorting trash, right? And so that was my longest hospitalization. And what I realized, and I've always known this to some level, is that they can't help me. That I tell them hard scientific logic and say, this is what's occurring, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they say, oh, schizoaffective or whatever, whatever they call me. And I'm like, and I don't fault them for that, but I can't, right? I can't seek resolution in Western medicine anymore. Quentin needs to. He needs to be hospitalized. He's not well. Right? I'm terrified he's going to murder all of us any second. He's so ugly. He's so evil. All of these people have been insulating him all this time. Right? Please, share the story. Right? Notify the LAPD. Let me know what you think.